Hello everyone, this is Leo Resende. I'm a CPA here in Florida. Today's April 14. I've decided to do this video on the stimulus checks just to give an update on the recent news about it. People have already began to receive the checks and I've been receiving lots of questions about it from my clients. First of all, let's talk a little bit about what the credit is, what the stimulus check is. It's in fact a tax credit. It's a 2020 tax credit that the government is giving to you now. Okay, so you are going to be getting that check throughout 2020, although normally you would have only received it when you filed your 2020 tax return next year. The government needed to know or needed to qualify people based on their income. So they decided to use your last filed tax return, whether it's your 2018 or your 2019 return. If you qualify based on your income, for example, if you're single and you earn less than $75,000, you are qualifying for the credit. If you're married and you earn less than $150,000, you are qualifying for it. Okay, it's $1,200 if you're single, $2,400 if you're married. Now, there are people that fall between the range. If you're single, from $75,000 to $98,000, the $1,200 gets phased out until you reach $98,000. For those that are single and earn more than that, you're not qualifying for the credit, unfortunately. If you're married, from $150,000 to $198,000, the $2,400 phases out until it reaches $198,000. If you earn more than $198,000, you don't qualify for the credit. How is the government going to give you the check? Okay, basically there are three options. Two of them are already, set in stone. The third one is still under development. If on your last filed tax return you received a refund and the government direct deposited, the government has your bank account information and you're going to be getting the stimulus check right away. Okay, those people have already began to receive their checks. Not everybody still have already received it, but the first wave of payments have already gone in. The second type is if you didn't get a direct deposit and if the IRS doesn't have your bank account through that route. Normally you would be receiving a paper check to the address that the IRS has on file. Okay, so if you moved after you filed your last tax return, you need to submit Form 8822. You go to Google, you type in Form 8822. You fill out, giving your new address, you sign, and you mail it to the IRS as soon as possible. That's how the IRS is going to know your updated address. The third option is still under development. The IRS is working on an online portal where the taxpayer could go in and inform the IRS what his or her bank account is so that the IRS could direct deposit the stimulus check. Now, let's say that based on your last filed tax return, for example, your 2019, you're not qualifying for the credit because your income is too high. Then in 2020, your income drops and you would have qualified. What's going to happen then? When you file your 2020 tax return next year, the IRS will give you that credit then. Because remember, the credit, the stimulus check, is based on your 2020 income. So if you qualify for it in 2020, it's going to take some time, but you are going to be getting the stimulus check when you file your tax return. Same thing if in 2019 you didn't have a kid, right? And in 2020 you have a kid. If you don't receive the $500, which every individual that qualifies for the stimulus check that has a child that's under the age of 17 will normally qualify, you would get it when you file your 2020 tax return. You're going to be reporting that you had a dependent, a kid that was under the age of 17, and you would be getting the difference, the $500 then. Okay, so that's also important. Another common question that I have been receiving is, if I owe money to the IRS based on prior returns, is the IRS going to reduce my stimulus check based on the amount that I owe? The answer to that is no. Okay, the IRS is not going to change your stimulus check based on any tax liabilities that you have. So don't worry about that. If you have already filed your tax returns, you're still going to be getting either the $1,200 or the $2,400 plus the $500 for each kid, assuming that you qualify for it. Okay, so the IRS is not going to take into consideration any tax amounts that you owe in order to give you the stimulus check. Now, the last question that I have been receiving a lot is, if the individual did not have to file an income tax return. Let's say that we have an individual that receives Social Security income, right? And their income is below the threshold to file. If they don't have to file it and they receive Social Security income, they don't need to do anything. The IRS is still going to mail them their check or direct deposit it if their Social Security income is normally received through a direct deposit method. So they don't need to worry, they are also going to be getting it. Now, if you haven't filed your 2018 or 2019 tax return just because you never got to it, you should definitely file it. If you don't file it, you're not going to be getting the check or the advance of the 2020 credit. If you guys have any additional questions, you can post them under this video here. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. If there are any new developments regarding the individual stimulus check, I will make another video. Again, today is April 14th. These are just some new updates and questions regarding the stimulus check.